essentially be removed, and that stormwater runoff will pipe this location west and then north of the 30th Street road right away to discharge into the storm pond to accommodate again stormwater from the development site as well as some of the upstream land uses as well. Comments, I guess, about traffic, access, roads, and that sort of thing that the Ministry of that I spoke about in the Ministry of Transportation section. The city has the same comments and is in agreement with the Ministry on those items. The next part is moving into the official community plan, and there's a number of land use designation changes that are required, as well as change to the urban containment boundary and potentially a change to the relevant areas as well. So what's required for the development to proceed dealing with the official community plan is, as I mentioned, the highway commercial designation currently accommodates this area of the property, and the highway commercial designation in the OCP would need to be extended to the north to accommodate this entire area here. I'll speak to the proposed CD8 zone in a moment. Essentially, the highway commercial designation will accommodate, as outlined in the application, accommodate our intended use of developing a regional commercial retail area that is distinguished and oriented towards commercial and large format uses that tend to require vehicle access. That's outlined in the application. There's 6 sort of considerations that staff looked at in considering the highway commercial in this location, or the extension of it. This area would be about 40 acres in size, and the extension accommodate to the north in terms of new highway commercial would be about 26.5%. The reason why the highway commercial currently isn't in this area is likely because the property was previously in the agricultural land reserve. The other thing the OCP does is, in addition to designating land highway commercial, it also looks at 5 different commercial areas within the city along the way. And the subject property is located in the commercial corridor west of the town. And that essentially extends from around 5th Street southwest, primarily near the Central Hardware, out west along the Trans-Canada, including Piccadilly Mall, out to just west of 30th Street. And in that area, should be orientated towards vehicle service and retail warehousing uses. Uses such as Canadian Tire are consistent with that, as is the proposal. In terms of looking at highway commercial land, it's been discussed historically by previous councils and staff, as well as the existing official community plan, both in the policies it contains as well as the one background paper that spoke of there will continue to be a continued demand for commercial land along the Trans-Canada Highway, and within the life of the OCP there may be the requirement to consider additional highway commercial land here in the city. The one consideration in terms of in the OCP in terms of future expansions of the highway commercial designation, look at that being to the west near the Highway 97 and Trans-Canada Highway intersection. There's 2 locations the OCP looks at as being future, the possibility of commercial land. This one here, the map will be changed, but down here speaks to residential and not specifically commercial. The likely wasn't included in highway commercial, the north part site, because it was designated in the Salmon Valley agricultural area. Was in the time that the OCP was adopted back in 2002. One thing the staff has done is looking at potential highway commercial sites that exist here in the city. The map identifies those locations from 1 to 6, and then in 2 there's 2 properties, 2A and 2B. And there's a table on page 9 of the report as well that assesses, again, potential highway commercial properties that are outside the ALR here in the city, There's the development site itself, as well as band land in the Adams Lake Indian Band. 2A is to the south, and 2B is to the north. As we move east, there's about a 5-acre parcel north of Piccadilly Mall. There's the old J.L. Jackson site, which we're all very familiar with. There's a property at the top of the hill near the home restaurant that Askews has purchased, and they have the intent of developing a grocery store, a relatively small site. And the final location for highway commercial development here in the city is near the Highway 97B and Trans-Canada Highway intersection. And although a fairly large area, that area is currently combination developed, underdeveloped, and vacant parcels. There's fragmented ownership, and there's no sewer existing out there at this point in time. So that table really assesses the currently available and likely to be available in the future for highway commercial development. The subject development site provides for what amounts to, readily accessible commercial development land. It's relatively flat. It's at a major intersection. It's adjacent to the Trans-Canada Highway. The other thing that staff looked at, as council is aware, there's been discussion about the previous Loblaws application for the old J.L. Jackson site, as well as potential development on band land, as well as the discussion in the community about this development. There is been some discussion about unnecessary big box development and unnecessary competition here in the city. The OCP certainly provides consideration of this type of development here in the city. In the sites mentioned, this particular application requires the expansion of the highway commercial designation. As mentioned, there's at least anecdotal information that the residents of the city in the regional trade area regularly travel to other local communities to shop at these type of stores. And this may provide for, leakage of business and sales from the local community, as well as I think the other thing to consider is called regional sprawl, is by having people leave the community to shop in other communities. The number of distance and motor vehicle trips are certainly more than what would need to occur if people didn't leave the community or need to leave the community to shop at these type of stores. The applicant will speak to this after I'm done, but in terms of the reason or rationale for their development proposal here in Salmon Arm, in terms of choosing Salmon Arm and choosing this location. The other part of the application, if you can recall, was the applicant has applied to redesignate the northeast part of the site. That was mentioned as phase 2 in the application. There's a land in the northeast corner here, and the applicant has applied to go to high-density residential and corresponding CD1 zone to permit multifamily development. The application states that that may be for multifamily development or extended care facilities and other residential uses that may appeal to more mature residents, older people will call, maybe that are retired or require a higher level of care. So staff has assessed this portion of the application not unlike the commercial portion. In looking at the OCP policies in general, in terms of urban residential uses, the city and the OCP look at having high-density residential in and around the town center, close to commercial, and that's the expectation. Plus medium-density residential as well. That you show on Appendix 10. The high-density doesn't show that it's primarily in this location here, as well as on the west side of 10th Street Southwest. Further to that, there's another policy in the OCP. In addition to having higher density or multifamily developments in and around the town center, there's another policy that speaks to where urban type of residential development should occur. New transportation routes, recreation parks and open space, accessible to community services, adjacent to community compatible land uses, as well as having the ability to be serviced. The other consideration are the residential development areas. We've spoken about this with other applications recently. There's residential development area A, as shown in red, Oaken Canoe, this location here, and again on the west side